It's a question that comes up all the time on how you compare apples for apples. And let's face it, when someone buys a Ford or a Holden, they're different cars, they have different features, but they still go from A to B. So from a plate heat exchanger point of view, a rule of thumb is every supplier should be roughly around 10% variation in heat transfer area. So the comparison should be area, heat transfer area, and equal pressure drops. So if you get a competitor who is 10 or 30, 40, 50% lower in surface area, then alarm bells have to be ringing in regards to how accurate is that design. And this is one of the reasons why Alfa Laval has been advocating AHRI certification. It's an independent body. They have all the design programs from the competitors, and they then look at how each heat exchanger is calculated and make sure there's an equal playing field. Saying that, if I go back to what I was talking about in regards to the latest features for Alfa Laval, we know that our new T series is essentially 10 to 25% more efficient compared to our previous generation. So we know that when we're comparing apples for apples, we are and should be a lower surface area by at least 10%. But if someone is 20, 30% lower than us, then you have to ask the question, how are they achieving such low heat transfer areas compared to us? And this is where AHRI step in. They take that manipulation out of the market. Part of the certification process is the supplier is to, the contractor takes the supplier's data sheets and drawings. They send that off to AHRI. They then look at that, run it through their design program, make sure it all compares correctly, and then sends back a stamped data sheet saying yes, that it complies with the certification. Now, that's supposed to be done by the contractor to AHRI. It's independent from the supplier. Now, the suppliers have to rename all their heat exchangers and put an A into their designation. So for Alfa Laval, a T25 becomes a T10 under the certification process. Our competitors all do similar arrangements, so they'll have a different naming system for their heat exchangers. It doesn't mean we're changing the exchanger exactly the same, but it has a different name as part of that certification process. In the background allows us to track then the sales of AHRI heat exchangers and then pay that royalty back to AHRI. First up is whether or not the thermal duty pressure drop meets the specification, and then compare surface areas. That's the kind of the step I would be taking, and then outside that, head heights, weights, and those type of things. And then you get into the material selection. What's the longevity expectation for the heat exchanger? In the norm, we expect our heat exchangers in a condenser water circuit to last 20-25 years. After that, then you might as well replace a plate pack for another 25 years life cycle. So it's those things they're really covering. The data centres are starting to talk along those lines, but in the norm, most contractors don't.